Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Badalla. That is Jordan Carter. We are live for No Dirt, Just Dialogue. It's a Friday. Normally it's a Thursday and we're live, but today we're live on a Friday. I was traveling yesterday. Juice will not be with us today, but of course we're joined by 1/3 of the 2/3, the 3/3, the 4/3. That'd be 1 1/4. Jordan Carter and myself, we're going to give you the best show we possibly can, which will be a damn good one. A lot has transpired in the world of professional wrestling and sports and entertainment. Lots happening in the world, so I hope you guys and girls are well. Jordan, what's going on with you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Realizing heavy may be the head that wears the crown, but with, as one of my favorite heroes mentors says, and sort of like mine kind of says here, with great power comes great responsibility. And so I am learning to use my power responsibility. So I'm good.
There you go.
How are you? How was the travel?
I'm good.
Better traveling than me. My last travel mishaps.
Well, you just hope and pray with kids that everything goes well, and it did. Vacation was great. We were in the great state of Florida, getting some sunshine and having some fun.
You prefer Florida over California?
Oh yeah.
I've never been to Florida, so
Florida's a good time. I mean, depending on where really anywhere you go, depending on where you go, it's a good time. The beef with me with California, I love San Diego. I do. I love different parts of California. Las Colinas in Texas is great. Like some places that aren't so well known, like popular destinations, I would say, in certain states. But the beef with California, there really is none. I like El Segundo. I like La Jolla. There's just LA is just, listen, I come from New York, but LA is just like insane. I'm
gonna tell you what made in LA insane for me. So I'm from Texas, where the 3-lane to 4-lane highway is kind of the standard, right? Sure. If you're in a 4-lane highway, that's in the Mixmaster. You're in every single highway in California is a 6-lane highway, both sides.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you're trying to exit over, and and then there's left-hand exits, and then there's right-hand exits. You got to hit your brakes because you're going up a hill, then you're going down a hill. Oh no, never, Blake, never.
I don't think he's happy about the what happened in the NCAA bracket, but whatever. Go ahead.
But no, I can understand why you're maybe not the biggest fan of it's just the traffic.
I think it's a combination of both. For me, I don't hate LAX at all. The airport's so easy. It's just after you get out of the airport. I think LAX is easy. I do. I
came into my flight. I got dropped off at Terminal 1, and my gate was all the way.
Well, they're not all Texas. They're not all DFW or JFK in New York. Like Orlando, you got to take shuttles, and Atlanta, you got to take shuttles. I mean, there's a lot of different airports that are just massive, that aren't just one-stop shops. I mean, one of my favorite airports in the world is MSP. But there's also one in Kansas City that is so small, but it's a popular hub, so.
So, let's what do you think about Vegas? Because we got a lot of Mania talk coming up.
I like the airport. I love the airport. There's slot machines in the airport. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Okay, that's a real thing. I've heard about that. That's a real thing.
That's a real.
So
listen, Jordan, the second you get off the plane, if somebody's not trying to sit you at a blackjack table, literally the second you get off the plane. I mean, it's not like that. It's an exexaggeration, but there's gambling everywhere for sure.
I'll tell you, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited. Me and you have been finalizing our plans. Raw seems to be trying to finalize their plans. What did you think of Raw this past week, man?
So I thought Raw was entertaining. I thought the ending with Punk and Roman and the Usos, I dug it because it just seems to me like they have Jay being the outlier right now. Jimmy's trying to calm down Jay. I thought there was very interesting verbiage from Jay that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, and that's I don't give a damn about the tag team championships, which is interesting.
I like that line. That line was really, really good.
Yeah, and it's interesting because because technically, I mean, the Usos don't have a WrestleMania match right now. Are they going to be defending the tag team titles at WrestleMania? All that other stuff, and it just seems like Jay's the outlier when Jay was kind of the one falling in line. And it was Jimmy who was the problem before, and now we have a little bit of a role reversal. But I have a funny feeling that we'll go off the air WrestleMania night too, with the Bloodline standing tall. What version of that, I don't know, but I think it's going to be at least Roman and the Usos. A lot of people want Solo. I don't know about that because it just seems like Solo and the MFTs and his side of the family are kind of ingrained in this whole thing that needs to end with the Wyatt Six. Could you see The Rock? Yeah, I could see The Rock maybe. And then, I could see it. I think there's a higher chance that you see The Rock show up at this year's WrestleMania to maybe congratulate Roman or stare down Roman or something to that extent than there ever was last year. But Rock's not wrestling, at this year's Mania.
Before we get to maybe who will or will not show up, because there's a person you brought up that I definitely want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But this one thing I wanted to bring up to you, I wanted to see what you feel about it storytelling wise, was when we had that first off, I will say that interaction, the Jay CM Punk stuff was great. I love the passion that Jay has. The man, I don't give a damn about the tag titles because it's about the family. What I fear is, and you've tweeted this out and kind of said some things, that this kind of just leads back to the Bloodline, which I'm fine with, and somewhat, because I think the Bloodline was some of the best storytelling they've done in a long time. But the shoot name, the Joe part, I want to get your opinions on it seems like they've done that a lot.
It used to hold a lot more weight, Jordan, than what it does right now, in terms of like if somebody would, like when Edge was in WWE and if somebody called him Adam, or when Christian, they would call him Jay, it'd be like, ooh, okay, like that's just, but it's just a little bit of suspension of your disbelief. Like, you all know that that's been cleared backstage and all this other stuff, because the boys, for the most part, and girls, most part, collaborate. And it's never like what we saw with the John and The Rock, where John went out and was like, and I don't have my lines written on my wrist. And Rock was like, you dirty bastard. Like, I'll kill you right here, right now. But that made for interesting television too, because they played up on it. But I will tell you that, it's interesting that Roman has not called Punk by Punk. It's been Phil. It's been Phil the whole time.
And so, like, I'm trying to understand that one in particular, and I'm glad you brought that up.
I think he's trying to talk to a man-to-man, not character to character. I think that's what Roman's trying to accomplish, where it's like, I'm not talking to the guy that you want to portray to all these fans and to people on television. Right. I'm talking to you, Phil. And I think that's what he's trying to accomplish by doing that.
Because did you see his Roman's late night appearance last night?
Yes, I was texting the video. It was like something about he said that the storylines or whatever were just trash. He wished they were more Roman, and he's asleep because he's old and all that other shit, right?
Yeah. What do you think? Because I watched a little bit of it.
I think they're working. I think Roman, if you ask Roman privately what he thinks of CM Punk, he probably will tell you he's not better than me, and he won't draw more money than me. But I mean, I think that's anybody in the business who has ever been uber successful is somebody who truly believes that in themselves. Austin, Rock, Punk, Brett, Shawn, Nash, Hall, Hogan, any of these guys you want to name will sit back and tell you that they can't draw more money than me. Now, obviously, that's true for some and not true for others. But when you're in the thick of things right now, Roman's going to say that he's the best and he draws the most money. And Punk's going to say, you're never here. And I am drawing money in houses. And the world heavyweight champion takes credit for the houses when they're big and when they're small. And that's why you don't see Punk doing a lot of damage control in terms of his reign as world heavyweight champion, because the buildings are packed for the most part. I mean, they're averaging about 12,000 people, MJF, a little bit of a different story right now, which we'll get into a little bit later. But, I think that they're working here. I think they're working, and good on them for it.
Speaking of working, it seems like they've turned what may have been a shoot into a work, and that's the Rhea Ripley Jade Cargill be. It seems like Jade has now got some help going into this match. Again, it doesn't necessarily feel like we're on the direct road to WrestleMania. Like, you could definitely tell we got some weeks out. Like, maybe there's some more big stuff coming, but I can definitely tell like we're starting to ramp up. And I want to. What do you think about this? Jade's got some backup now.
Yeah, I think the two-part question, and I'll give you a two-part answer. I think the build here for Mania is very different from what we've seen even at WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40, we had some things announced and we were kind of in where we were going and how we were doing this about 2 months out in advance. And even 41, we were kind of lock, stock, and barreled. I want to say by end of February, early March for the most part on your main events and some other things. And it's just different. WrestleMania sells well if it's priced well on the name brand alone. And this year we're seeing different because the prices are outrageous and they're slashing them daily, weekly. And also there's, we don't know what we're getting besides a couple matches here. So I think the build for a lot of WrestleMania matches, it's late. They still have time, but it's late and people are going to wait. They also don't know what day the match is going to be on. Jordan, we have two different graphics. We can kind of make assumptions, but without a confirmation. Some people are not in the financial capability to go to both nights. So they're going to have to pick and choose. Your Jade Cargill question, I like that Jade's got some backup. Could we see maybe Bianca or somebody who's been rumored to return to maybe be in Rhea's corner or something, or maybe help Rhea at Mania? I don't know. But I think art imitates life. And I think that they definitely took something that was backstage, they being Rhea and Jade Cargill, and kind of blended it into storyline in real life and smart on them. I mean, it's very rinse and repeat because we saw this last year with Charlotte and Tiffany. And a lot of people were like, oh shit. And then they had a match that was kind of meh besides some hard hitting spots.
Yeah, I didn't realize, just looking at the comments, there's only 4 or 5 matches that's been announced. Now, that being said, though, 5 matches between 2 nights. I want to really quickly, before we get to another WrestleMania opponent, or maybe not opponent, where do you think some of these matches will lie on what nights? I know we got Punk Roman for sure night 2. We got Drew. Yeah. I mean, not Drew, but we have Cody, Randy for sure night 1. So those 2 matches for sure. Right. So, like Rhea Jade, where do you think that's going to land? Night 1, night 2.
Well, I mean, if we look at the graphics here, and we're going to go back to Raw because I do want to talk about Oba and Brock, and I was going to say,
we're getting there, brother. I'm getting there.
I was saving that for kind of like last.
Yeah. Because there's a lot I want to say about it. But
I mean, if you look at the graphics, right? It clearly we're looking at this, and it seems like Oba and Brock are on a night. Obviously, it's the same night that looks like Roman and Punk is. So that would lead me to believe that it's Saturday or Sunday for those guys. But then WWE on the 24th released the futuristic graphic, if we're calling it, of Orton and Rhodes. And then they went to the wasteland of Punk and Roman. So it's very interesting. I don't know what days we could sit back and pencil things in for yet. And I think it's twofold for WWE. It's smart because people will then I have to buy both days, otherwise I don't want to miss it. And it also will hurt them because some people will just wait until they can figure out what days these matches are on. If I'm guessing, I'd want to have night one open. I would open the show with Obafemi and Brock Lesnar if we're going to make Obafemi the next quote unquote big thing. If that's what we're doing, because it's on ESPN. But it's on ESPN. And if you want to make somebody and you really want to do this and you're giving the first hour away for free, go do it. And go make I know who Brock Lesnar is. Who the hell is this big son of a bitch? And that'll make the casuals pay attention to Oba.
Is that first hour for both nights or just night one?
Both nights. So, I mean, you could do it night two, but I'd really like to come out and set the tone. That's what I would like to do.
Set the tone. Because if it didn't have that first hour on ESPN, I'd say you're a madman.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But from that aspect, again, I want to make this kid, guy, I'm a little bit older than him. I want to make this guy, make him look good. I want to bring in new viewers as well, because that's the best to capture new viewers is Mania time.
Well, and Jordan, what is everyone going to talk about for in the annals of history forever is going to be what was the first match that WWE had on an ESPN WrestleMania pay-per-view PLE? It was Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. You're not going to open with Cody Rhodes and Randy because that's the main event of one of these nights. You're not going to open with Punk and Reigns because that's the main event of another night. And everyone loves when Tony bleeds the pre-show into the actual show. And what WWE could do is open up hot and get people to be like, yo, who's Obafemi? I got to go buy this ESPN app or whatever, unlimited, so I can watch it, whatever. We have 6 matches so far.
Yeah,
obviously,
6 I saw.
Obviously, Vakor and Morgan are going to be on one night. I'd put them on night one. I'd put AJ Lee and Becky Lynch the same night as Punk and Roman. I would have Jade and Rhea night 2 as well. And I would have Cody and Randy night 1, Stephanie and Liv night 1, Oba and Brock night 1. And I'm going to do Punk and Roman night 2, AJ Lee and Becky Lynch night 2, and Jade and Rhea night 2. That's where I'm at so far.
I'll really quickly too. This is kind of a sidebar because you're around my age group. Do you miss the one night manias, or do you like I don't know what night is going to be on what? Like, does that bring a certain bit of an excitement to you, or do you miss the one night mania where I'm getting all these matches?
So if I'm going to WrestleMania and I'm like working it, I like the 2 nights because I'm not there for 9 hours, 7 hours, because that was just brutal. And I was never talent, obviously.
Yeah.
But those guys and girls got to show up hella early. And the workers got to show up insanely early. The crew and stuff. I mean, they're probably putting in 12-hour days on these 2-day shows. Imagine when they're probably putting in 18 hours on one of those one-night stadium shows. As a consumer of the product, like watching, I kind of liked it on one night, but I wish they would have, if they were going to do this, they took the Wrestle Kingdom approach, because that's what this is. Okay. I would have maybe started this show at like 6 o'clock and end it at 11. You got 5 hours. That's Eastern. You got 5 hours to get your shit in for WrestleMania. If you can't get your stuff in 5 hours, and so be it. They used to get WrestleMania in like 3 hours and 30 minutes flat on pay-per-view. So
I remember them days.
But the one thing I miss that I don't like that the 2 nights have taken away from was the Saturday standalone Hall of Fame. I thought that was just awesome because it was a day that you could look forward to, just a night it was a really, really good time. And I feel sorry for those who never got to experience it. Don't get me wrong. They're doing them on Fridays now, but it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock local time, which is like 1 a.m. Eastern. And it was just always a really, really good time. That Hall of Fame started at like 8 and was off whenever they decided to shut the last guy up or girl up. But it was just a good time.
I like that you mentioned Hall of Fame because it's a great transition, because he put somebody in the Hall of Fame, and that's Gunther. He put him putting John, because John will be in the Hall of Fame. Right. What's going on? Where's Waldo? Where's Gunther? Like, what are we? I think it's clear and evident that his dance partner is injured. And that's okay. That's fine. Sure. But like, is this not a problem that they don't have a pivot, that they don't have? Because like Gunther should be on this card.
So I think Gunther, I think Gunther will be on this card. I think a lot
of. So you think he will? I don't think you. I think that I don't think they have plans. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they have plans.
Well, I mean, I think everybody made a lot about nothing. A lot of people are like, I can't believe. I mean, we have 4 weeks left. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've sold matches in a shorter amount of time for PLEs. I mean, they have. I mean, and Gunther doesn't need an elongated storyline here. He's retired so many people. If Ray can get cleared, then so be it. But I saw a lot of people have him win the Andre. How about no? Like what?
How about no?
Like what would we do? Like, but everyone's so quick to like want to rush to. He needs to be on the card. Okay, tell me who you'd put him against, and they have no answer for it. Some people have said let Jericho have him have an open challenge and let Jericho show up. Okay, but are you having Gunther beat Jericho? Well, and then there's another thing that's kind of lingering too. Like if the Usos go a certain way and LA Knight's not involved in that, then you can have LA Knight and Gunther. I know a lot of people might not like that, but I mean, at least it's a match for both of them. And also, don't forget Seth Rollins. A lot of people are complaining about him. I think they're waiting for Braun to get cleared. If he can get cleared, then they pivot. I think at 4-6, that's April 6th. I think at that point, it's make or break what we're doing with these two stars being Gunther and Seth Rollins. I expect them both to be on WrestleMania in significant programs. So for me, at 4-6, April 6th, that is a Monday night, we'll find out where both of these guys are going or not going for WrestleMania.
Seth, I think it's pretty clear that Seth will probably be facing Logan Paul.
Maybe.
I think that's pretty evident, pretty clear.
I think Logan Paul and Austin Theory might win those tag straps. I'm just telling you.
that sounds like a terrible idea.
But you got to remember, they said, in the main event, Jay said, I don't give a damn about the tag team championships.
Gramps has a good let's talk the TNA partnership. Leon Slater could tell a great story with Gunther, especially with his ties to AJ Styles.
If you wanted to do something like that, where this is about somebody getting retribution for Styles or whatever, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I definitely think, though, I'll put it to you like this, and I want to ask you, do you feel like he's cooled down a bit? Because I feel like at one point Gunther was the hottest heel in the company. Now I don't really know who the hottest heel in the company.
I think it comes down to the booking. You've booked yourself into a situation where Gunther is retiring people and collecting their careers and stuff like that, which is fine. But then what do you do after that? And is Gunther going to start fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship? I think he could after Mania. Who's that against? I don't know. But I think at WrestleMania, if you wanted to do something like that, if Gunther is going to be this like career killer, I think which would be smart, just this is my creativity, is have him do an open challenge. But the person who answers needs to put their career on the line. And what I would be doing is I'd be calling, if I don't know if you want to do Jericho, because you're not going to bring him in and then just end his career like that. If he's going to do a retirement run, he's going to have the run. Call RVD. Okay, RVD, Gunther can retire RVD. It's a big enough name. You could do that. Go look around and see who's available, who under a Legends deal, who Gunther could retire, who can have a good match with, that type of stuff. And a career, like a career on the line open challenge is something that people would get behind, in my opinion. Who the hell is he going to face? Everyone's going to think it's Jericho. Everyone's going to think it's this. And then if you have somebody like RVD come out, great. You don't think people are going to like pop for Rob Van Dam versus Gunther and Gunther beats RVD? Yeah. After that, you got to move on from it, though. If Ray's not cleared and you want to do this career open challenge and Ray can't get cleared for WrestleMania for the second year in a row, after that, have him beat RVD and then do something different with him until SummerSlam. And then he can end Lesnar's career and then go from there.
There's another potential WrestleMania match that was potentially set up. And that is with someone that you told me in private that will be more than likely on the card just because you're good at, reading the tea leaves. Mm-hmm. And that's a Mr. I Show Speed.
I think I Show Speed and Jelly Roll. I think Creative was asked to come up with something for both of them weeks ago.
Yes. So I think Jelly Roll, because I believe he's going to be on tonight. Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yeah.
ISO Speed got cursed, and then, if I'm not mistaken, in his streams later this week, mentioned that how he was cursed and whatnot. So I think I don't know if we're going to get an ISO Speed Danhausen match, but what do you think of the possibility of Danhausen in his first year making it to a Mania card?
I don't know if Danhausen's going to wrestle because I feel like what they're on WrestleMania. I could see Danhausen showing up and telling ISO Speed ringside, like, still cursed, something like that, and then disappear or costing him the match, something like that. The celebrity involvement has always been a thing in WWE, so let's not pretend like it hasn't.
Yeah, it's
now
Cyndi Lauper. Come on, yeah,
sure, but ISO Speed, Cyndi Lauper. For me, it's obviously Cyndi Lauper. ISO Speed's a streamer, but he's pulling in insane numbers, so you credit where credit's due. But for me, I don't think Danhausen's going to wrestle. If there was going to be something where Danhausen wrestled, I think it's the Miz gets tired of this curse that he is under from Danhausen and agrees to team with him. Then you get a tag match with Miz and Danhausen versus Priest and R-Truth for the tag team titles. I do believe that's going to be the first major match that Danhausen has.
I think, again, 4 weeks away, there's no reason why you couldn't book that for Mania. I'm going to be honest with you. I legitimately think that, especially considering his presentation when he first made an in-ring kind of, his entrance, so to speak. And then a couple weeks ago, they filed trademarks for Ghoulhausen and Kidhausen and all of that. I think he's getting a match at WrestleMania. I 100% think he's getting a match at WrestleMania. Now, whether that be, because I think it will be, because it's a perfect match. ISO Speed versus Danhausen. It's perfect.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that they could do with not only Danhausen, Jelly Roll, ISO Speed, but, going back to Gunther too, like, there's just a lot of uncertainty now in the WrestleMania card, but you could go literally have some. I think the best bet for Gunther is that open challenge. And there's a long list of people who Gunther can have come out. And the same thing goes with Danhausen. Danhausen doesn't need to have a match at WrestleMania. He just needs to be a part of it, and he will. So I think people are all over. How do you have creative for Jelly Roll and ISO Speed, but you don't have creative for Gunther? I think they're
about to say,
But I mean, what I'm saying is they did have creative for Gunther. It's just his opponent got injured, and people like, well, are they that creatively bankrupt? And I'm going to say no. I just think that you're not going to trot Gunther out there with no purpose. Now, an open challenge, but the person who answers my open challenge needs to put their career on the line. I think that would get some people going, truthfully. And if you don't want to put their career on the line, have an open challenge, and you can have Karrion Kross answer. And I bet you people shut the fuck up about that too.
Oh yeah, we want Kross. Yeah, we want Kross.
Right.
But so then let me just straight up ask. So you gave your predictions for Danhausen. We talked a little bit about Jelly Roll. What do you think his role will be in WrestleMania?
I think he'll have some sort of tag match. And I give all the respect in the world to Jelly Roll. What he did at SummerSlam was great. But he had a lot of, Jelly Roll will tell you this himself, great dance partners, just like any good professional wrestler has. I just am not really interested, truthfully.
So that, and then I love we're here, because then I was going to ask you lastly, when it comes to the celebrity involvements, are you checked into celebrity involvements? Are you checked out because when it's moments like this, because we go off and I'll bring up AEW. They use the Rizzler, right? And Big Boom AJ, they have them in matches. It's pre-show stuff, but it's always pre-show stuff.
Yeah, well, AEW is where the best quote unquote wrestle. So
do you think that's the defining difference? Is that there is a more intense look on in-ring work, and so therefore WWE, it's okay. We can have a little bit more fun over here, with the celebrities.
So I think WWE is always going to appeal to that type of and cater to that type of audience, because they want the mass impressions. They want the crossover. They want ESPN. They want this. They want that, before they were really able to get there. And the same thing goes with AEW. AEW was not stupid to bring in AJ and Big Boom and the Rizzler and all this other stuff, because that got them on the Tonight Show, and that got them on different types of places that I don't know if AEW, and I'm saying AEW in terms of they were wearing AEW logoed shirts on there talking about Dynasty or Revolution. Sorry, not Dynasty. So, I mean, smart marketing. Is there a place for celebrity involvements in wrestling, pro wrestling? Yeah. I mean, Bad Bunny was fantastic.
Fantastic. Some of the best work I've seen in a long time.
He also got one of the most insane reactions I've ever seen.
Oh, that entrance
that
is
electric. Song hit in Puerto Rico and they went nuts.
That entrance is electric. It's truly great job to that production team really quickly too, like capturing him and the entire sea of people and the drone work. Yeah. That was great. That was great entrance. Probably one of my favorites for WWE in the last 5 years.
For me, there is room for the celebrities in professional wrestling. Obviously, I just you want people who can actually put in the work and go. Like I thought the Travis Scott thing was going to be fantastic, and then he just turned out to be. Like he wasn't invested, didn't want to be involved. Yeah, so I mean that's just part of it,
So some more. I do want to answer this. Two things in the comments I want to address really quick.
Which one?
Gunther, Stone Cold. What do you think? No. Just no. I don't see Stone Cold ever wrestling again. He literally just said that he doesn't even go by the Stone Cold moniker.
That I don't agree with. I think Austin will wrestle again, but I don't think you're going to have Gunther and Austin wrestle in an unannounced match where you can't make any sort of amount of money on it. Austin would probably sit here and tell you himself that's just something that wouldn't be smart business.
That dog won't. And then, do you think we get Dom and Penta at Mania?
No, you're not getting Dom and Penta at Mania. You're getting Dom and Finn, and I think you'll see Demon Finn.
Night 1, night 2. I think that's a night 1.
I don't know.
I think that's a night 1. I don't think that's important enough to go night 2. But something I definitely think you said it'll be night 1. Should open night 1. I think it should be. I think it should be the semi-main event, and that's this Brock Obafemi match. Because if there's any sort of build lately that's gotten me very, very interested in Mania, it's this. I love this. Brock has been.
What do you love about it?
I love that Brock's been giving. Brock has been, hey, powerbomb me. Sold the powerbomb, great. Doing the whole I'm kind of afraid of you and the intimidation thing. Brock has done. It's been all. No, don't get me wrong. Oba has taken his opportunity and has ran with it, but Brock has given Oba a lot, and this has made him look absolutely great. It's so. I'm in on this. The only thing that takes me out is Paul Heyman. Because I'm kind of like, okay, so you're the Vision, but you're also the always forever advocate for Brock Lesnar. I don't really like that.
I think Paul's pulling away from the Vision. I think you're starting to see that. I think Paul might end up back in the original Bloodline. But
I actually would like to just go on that note. Because I know we're going to get the Bloodline back. I would like to see a Bloodline without a Wise Man.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, all three of those gentlemen, the original guys, can talk and handle their own stuff.
Right.
But my favorite version of Roman is when Paul kind of did his bidding and talked for him, and then he would step in. It was just like, I don't speak unless I absolutely need to, and that's a big thing in life too. Like people who got to yell and scream and curse, and even though I did curse on this stream once, normally are the weakest minded individuals, and I think that's what Lesnar is. Lesnar doesn't have that type of giddy up in terms of a promo. He's intimidating, where Roman can kind of have somebody who sits there and could do the majority of the BS talking. But when he speaks, everyone's like, oh, I got to listen. The Brock and Ova thing is awesome. And a lot of people who dog on Lesnar, in my opinion, I hear you from like your personal things of how things went down in terms of whatever was discovered with him, with the lawsuit with Janelle Grant. And it's unfortunate and gross. But at the end of the day, like I'm going to watch professional wrestling and I'm going to dissect it the way I see it. I'm not going to let people's political and personal things kind of deter me from what they're doing in the ring or how they're doing it, because I'm watching that character, that show. So, and that's not an excuse. I'm just saying if WWE and TKO is allowing this person to be on television, then clearly they don't deem them to be a threat to their company in the legal sense. So Brock gives a lot and gave a lot to Oba. Now, a lot of people are up and they're like, oh, well, 2 weeks in a row, he's got the better, the upper hand. I don't know if Oba's going to win at WrestleMania.
That's where I'm at.
But we still got 4 weeks. You don't think Lesnar's going to get some comeuppance? He is.
I would hope so. I legitimately, because I would like to see this. This is going to sound stupid and really nerdy of me. I want to see how Oba's going to sell. Oba hasn't really had to do a big, he's dominated his entire way.
The Cody Rhodes match, I think, was his test.
Right?
And he did very well.
He did very. So I would love to see him take a German from Brock. And I want to see what you look like. I want to see what it looks like when you take an F5, right? So I hope that Brock does get some comeuppance. But that was going to be my point, actually, is that because I love it and Brock is giving him so much, I'm a little bit afraid that not necessarily that we're going to get a Kofi moment with Brock. Like, he ain't going to beat him in 9 seconds.
Oh, no way.
But, like, I'm afraid that we're gonna do all of this, and Brock's gonna win like decisively. I don't think it'll be like that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that we're not gonna get a competitive match, but more of a decisive win, and that'll be a bit of a letdown. Personally,
I think that it would be creatively insane and careerly insane for them to book Lesnar to beat Oba in seconds. If not like 30 seconds or less or whatever, even a minute. I think that's stupid. I think a lot of people, this is the one match I would say that a lot of the fans are very much invested in.
Oh, so I'm gonna be honest with you. It's the only match of Mania I'm invested in. I'm interested in the rest of the card. Invested in this one. I'm invested in this match at 100%.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are. And I think if you rob the people of something, there's a time and a place for that. And this is not it. 2 legends, whatever. Like the Lesnar Goldberg thing, nobody saw coming. And there's a lot of other matches on that card where people were like, all right, whatever. Like, and it was a shock. And they ended up having another match. Brock and Oba I would not rinse and repeat the Goldberg Lesnar situation. Now, what you could do is the reverse, where Oba beats Brock in seconds, and I think that sends shockwaves. I think there's a different, Brock is established. If he comes out and beats the quote-unquote young kid in seconds, and again, I've said this before, for me, this is not a white and black thing. I know people have made this into this, but it's not. From my eyes, I know Brock called him boy, and I thought it was a poor choice of words, no doubt about it. I've been on the football field with some people that are white. Okay. And we're going again.
Hey, bro, I haven't told you this personally, privately. I appreciate you saying that because you understand. Sure. You exactly understand why we feel a little bit like. For sure.
But listen, I play. No problem. I play with all races, colors, and creeds in football. All right. And in baseball too. But my teammates, there was a certain situation where we were playing football and one of my teammates made a really good play. And he said, "You better get your weight up, boy," and yelled it. And I pulled him aside and I was like, "Hey, look, listen, I know that's like that we say it. Everyone says it." Right, I was like, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, I know you meant no malice on that because I know you're not a racist, but it's just not a terminology. You don't want to use it, Right. And even and the kid he made a plate on said, "What'd you say?" And I was like, he didn't mean it like that. And he was like, all right. Like, but it's just, again. See,
I appreciate that you said, first off, I appreciate and love that you said it first. For love and respect always, brother, for that. Because there was a little bit of a little murmur in the IWC about that, what he said. And I didn't want to get into it because it's hard to explain. And I'm glad that you did, because maybe people
listen, Jordan, I'm white. you're black. There's really nothing sitting here that we can't have an open conversation with
Right.
it. I thought, from my perspective, I don't think Brock meant any malice from it, but I can understand.
No, I don't think he did.
I can understand the other side of it where it's like, use a better word, dude. Like, we're just not using.
And that's all I
Sure.
you know, when I had a Twitter interaction with somebody, I was trying to just look. It's not that like I think, or you know, people think Brock is racist. No,
Sure.
it's just a bad choice of words.
Sure.
It's just terminology. That's it. Like,
listen, somebody called. We were playing football, and somebody was like, "You're soft, Wonder Bread," and I was like, that doesn't bother me. I was like, but I could see how some people that might bother, and so that's when sure. So when I first heard somebody say, or it was like my teammate was like, "Get your weight up, boy," and the guy got mad. And I was just like, "Oh shit, that's offensive! Don't say that shit." They don't
think that's why
they didn't like it. They don't like it. Don't do it.
I think it's why it's important, just as people, and this is, you know, I hear at No Dirt, we try to, you know, reach one, teach one. Always be responsible with what you say. You know, I think that's important. 100%. I think you just be, and I understand Brock is, you know, putting on character and acting, and that's why I don't think he meant it.
Hunk used the word young boy, and I know it's different because young boys are kind of the people who like clean the ring and do all this other stuff and hold the bags and all this other shit. But that's a derogatory term too, and it was a white man saying it to. I mean, they're Samoan, but I'm just saying, like, you know,
still a person of color, right? Yeah,
sure. I mean, you could have taken it the wrong way, but again, I don't think. I mean, I'm going to say I don't think, because I don't know Brock personally. I think it was out of context, but again, different climate, should have used a better word.
100%, you know, but I'm glad we could tackle that. You know, I'm glad we could talk about it, but I will go out and say, I don't think that Brock meant any bad by it, anything like that.
I think what would look bad, Jordan, is if Brock ended up beating Oba in 30 seconds, because people would make it a white and black thing. But if Oba beat Brock in 30 seconds, I don't think that's creatively a bad thing. And I don't think people would make a race thing about it.
So, really, you know, I'm glad that you brought that up, because then that brings up kind of there's been a question of what do you do with Brock after Mania, right? Because there's is he going to retire at SummerSlam?
I think he made that pretty clear on the Spit and Chicklets podcast that he's only back for a short time. So I think August.
Right. I was going to bring that up too. So, and I think you're showing your poker face here, because that's a perfect way to get him gone. Have Oba come in, beat him decisively. Brock kind of, I don't know what, you know, do I still got it? He goes for one more go at SummerSlam. You know, whether he wins or lose, that's it, because it's his one last go.
Yeah. All right. It's not a bad way to go creatively. You could also have Brock, you know, maybe get a win back, not on Oba, but a win back somewhere down the road on another PLE. And then Brock says, "Yeah, I showed all these young kids, like, I'm still the man," or whatever. And then you got Gunther's music that hits, you know, here in July or something in Italy or whatever. And it's like, hey, whenever that Italy pay-per-view is, or PLE, and then you say, okay, like, you think you're back, you think you're here, how about you take on the career killer? And that's how you end his career.
And I think you just played your program. That's a nice little, I ain't gonna lie, I like that, because that's a good way, because then that cements Oba, and I think that's what this program is meant for. It cements Oba as the new next big thing.
Yeah, and the thing too, you know, with Brock is, again, I think he's given a lot to Oba, and I think it was kind of washed away by the comment when he said boy. But Brock, again, not defending Brock, he should have used a better terminology, better wording, but he has said that multiple times to even white Asians, Hispanics, whatever, in terms of his opponents. You know,
if you've ever heard Brock talk, if you know anything about his personality, that is a corn-fed country man boy through and through.
But I just think it's unfortunate, Jordan, that's what we were harboring on, instead of what Brock has done for over the past 2 weeks. It sucks, but it's not an excuse. I'm just saying I think it sucks.
Because that, to me, that I that's the biggest thing about this to me, is that Brock, a person who maybe notoriously, doesn't sell. Like, you can go back and look. People say Brock doesn't sell very well for his opponents. Brock doesn't like to put people over, this, and that. You could say all of that about what you want. He's given this, for all intents and purposes, a rookie. He's given him everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I don't think Brock Lesnar has ever been powerbombed. Ever.
I don't think somebody's gotten the most, like, the upper hand 2 weeks in a row and in dominant fashion. The only one that I can remember was at the Barclays Center when it was Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar, and Brock kind of told Drew, like, hey, stand tall, like, show the title, this and that. And it was very obvious that Brock was trying to make Drew McIntyre. This is the only time, and Drew was already kind of established, like, well established.
He was.
It's the only time I can remember. Yeah, but I'd taken this back to Brock and The Rock. Rock made Brock Lesnar in 2002 at the Nassau Coliseum. And so did Hulk Hogan. He made Brock Lesnar this beast, on a SmackDown. So, and I think Brock's going to do right by Oba. I do.
I think 100% Brock's going to do right by Oba, because, again, I don't think Brock Lesnar has ever been powerbombed or had a dominating move put on him. All of his losses have come from, like, kind of quick successions, or like, oh man, you didn't think it was going to happen. Like, when have you just seen Brock sprawled out, shoulders out like that? Like, you don't really see that.
No, and not to mention, like, the look on his face when he climbed out of the ring. It was kind of like, oh shit,
So I'm glad that we've made a point to talk about that how much that he's given Obafemi in this. And I think that's important because, one, again, let's talk the optics, because you had the whole black and white thing with Kofi Mania and Brock.
Yeah.
So I think that helps kind of rehab a bit of that, feeling and image,
I think right now at this point, and I'm never going to make this something that it's not, I think at this point, there's already the narrative around some people in high power, whether it's true or not. You go out and you have Lesnar beat Obafemi in 30 seconds, or he just dominates the match and it's 5 minutes. Majority of people are going to bang that drum about this is now a white and black thing. And I just don't think it's needed. I really want to see the best possible match, and I want to see Oba get made. I hated, and I don't ever use this word, but I do. I hated WrestleMania 38. I loved the match. I think it was Sasha and who was her opponent? Sasha and Asuka, maybe?
Asuka, yeah.
Was it?
For what Mania?
WrestleMania 38. The women main evented. Oh, it's 30. No, it's 37. 37. 37.
37.
Who was it against? It was Sasha and somebody. It was Sasha and Bianca, I think. Was it?
No, they were on the poster. Hold on, let me.
No, it was Bianca Belair, and she defeated Sasha Banks.
Yeah, it was Bianca and Sasha. Yeah.
And for me, I hated that it had to be them, because it was that's what it needed to be. It needed to be another women's main event and everything else like that. And it wasn't that it should have been. It, like, they were rightfully so in that position. I just didn't like the narrative that it had to be a night 1 or night 2 main event, because it's just we needed to have that. No, if they're the best feud and they're the best talent and they're getting the most hype, then it should be. And it was. It got to that point. It was the best. Yeah, but the match was announced and everyone was like, that's got to be a main event. That's it. I'm like, all right, Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre shouldn't have main evented that Mania, and they didn't. But I was like, I just didn't like the narrative rolling around that it had to be this. Just like I didn't think it had to be, any other sort of main event. Like, it doesn't warrant it. It doesn't warrant it. I don't care if it's, this person versus that person, or this race versus that race, or that stuff. I hated. Like, if the match dictates it, if the feud dictates it, put it in the main event. If it doesn't, let's not make this something it isn't,
But moving forward with some of the wrestling week, what you think of Dynamite last night?
I thought Dynamite on Wednesday night did open good. I thought Kenny Omega coming out
Last
to right. No, I know we're doing
we're
this on Thursday.
used to doing this on Thursday.
I thought Kenny and MJF's confrontation was good. I thought Kenny was the right call for that match. I think Swerve is going to get a title shot. I think they save it. And I think that you could have Swerve cost Kenny at Dynasty. But what I didn't like, truthfully, Jordan, was the FTR Copeland and Christian thing. I think Copeland and Christian should have been in the building. That's kind of like, and they should have done something. Maybe they have a singles match with Christian versus, I don't know, Dax or Cash. That's just the little things for me. The other thing too is I really, really didn't like Will Ospreay's promo. I didn't. And it's not because he cursed. It just felt weird.
Felt forced. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel like his typical Billy Goat, you know. It
just felt weird. It felt completely out of pocket for me.
It felt like something he was like, hey, you know, I'm gonna cuss in this one, guys. You know, and everybody was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Well, Jordan, remember all the cretins that were coming for me being like, oh, they're not just going to announce a match and all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then they do it a week later.
Yeah.
What was the difference?
Straight up announce the match. Yeah. Like you said, why wouldn't he just call out? You know, why did he attack Pac and whatnot? Just call him out.
Yeah, give me a match with, you should have given me a match with Pac in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then made the match official for Dynasty. Or you could have done it the week before that in wherever the hell they were and had him versus a member of the Death Riders there too. Like, I understand Will might have asked for that tune-up match and whatever, and that's fine, and it's water under the bridge, but everybody was like, yo, you're crazy for this. And then they just do it a week later. I just got a text. Unfortunately, I'm going to give thoughts and prayers out to Tiger Woods. It seems like he was in a crash in Jupiter, Florida. So hopefully he's okay. I don't know any details, but hopefully Tiger Woods is all right. So.
Yeah, I hope so. Good God. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. So you know,
what did you think of Ospreay? And I know I cut you off here, but it felt weird, didn't it?
I just didn't. It felt forced. It felt like he was trying to be a badass when he already is. Like he didn't need to do, you know, you know, he felt like he was putting on a act, like it wasn't him, you know, being this brooding. Because like, if you wanted to be this brooding kind of angry, vengeful spirit, that should have been like one, it just doesn't match with Will Ospreay's whole aesthetic and vibe, you know, to be this brooding person out for revenge. Yeah. You know, I don't think you should be out for revenge. I think he should be just proving why he's the best, proving why you can't keep me down, you know?
It's a good point too. Like dressed as the Punisher. Yeah. I don't mind him. He does the video games, the Assassin's Creed stuff, whatever. I don't really know those things. I was kind of told. So I'm sure some people like the Assassin's Creed stuff fits him. Okay. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to agree with you. But I just think that there's sometimes you look at Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay is literally somebody who you sit back and you're like, holy, like that guy is a fantastic talent. I think less is more with him in terms of promo and Mike, because that was very, I don't mind the emotion, but it just seemed very, very, very weird. And again, it's me nitpicking. I like the Cope and Christian sit down thing. I just thought the FTR thing, if they were going to have that, they maybe should have had those, you know.
I don't like it because it's clear. I didn't like that because it clearly shows that like they're on a different type of deal. Like they don't wrestle. It's very clear and evident that they're not here to wrestle, you know, to say the least. They're here to make some money, move some storylines along. They're not, you know, because one thing I love about old school WWE, you know, back in the day, especially when you had a tag feud, let's take the Dudleys and the Hardys, right? You would have Bubba, 1 week Bubba would take on Jeff in a singles match.
Yeah.
And then the next week, Devon would take on Matt. And then
or what I love is when they would do the 6-man, you'd have Austin and the Dudleys take on the Rock and ENC. Like
Rock and you know, something like that. You know, they're touched, but they're not really. I think AEW needs to, in their tag feuds, needs to start doing things like this.
Well, be careful, Jordan, because everyone's going to tell you this is not WWE, and we're all fed brainwashed and all this other shit.
But like we're not, and they're not. But that there's, I believe it's 9 versions of how you tell stories. What man versus man, man versus nature, man versus things like that. Yeah. There are certain ways you tell stories, and it doesn't matter what 3 letters, what location, or even how many sides of a ring you have. There are just certain proven ways to tell stories. And I think when it comes to a tag team story, and if you're not going to have these guys lock up and touch at all up until the final tag bout, because the reason why, because Dax is such a great singles guy. I would love to see Dax and Christian go at it.
Sure.
Tell a little story there. Like, oh man, hey, 2 weeks ago, Dax was working really hard on Christian's knee. And so when Christian moves to do, he's got a little bit of a limp now. So I don't know, but like there are ways to tell more stories than just the one that you're trying to tell.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also like, I don't mind that the ring is the culmination of everything, but I would rather you have more backstory,
Right. Just give me, give me more of a bite to chew on, okay. They attacked him and his wife. Okay. So they come back. Okay, cool. This is just random standard wrestling fare. Like, why do they deserve a match against them?
Yeah.
Show me why. Yeah. Show me that Christian is going up against Dax, but they cheat to win. And so
and why should we have some disbelief that Ian or Copeland and Christian are going to beat FTR, or they're not, or whatever? And that's part of the whole gimmick and the whole work and the whole storyline progression of professional wrestling. I don't mind that the ring is the focal point for AEW. I don't mind that, because there is a lot of talented men and women there that can absolutely go. But at the end of the day, you got to sell more than just this person versus that person, because anybody with $1 million and a wrestling ring, more than $1 million and a wrestling ring, could probably do this. You got to be creative, because what am I investing in?
But especially you have to be creative in something that, like, let's be honest too. Let's be real honest. We knew this was going to happen 3 months ago.
Sure. Yeah.
We were on this very show talking about, yes, we know that this all roads lead to Cope and Christian versus FTR. We all knew this. Yeah. So therefore, throw some storyline elements in, throw a little bit of a twist, be a writer, and this is where you got to be creative,
Speaking,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like every SVU episode or Law and Order episode is the same. Bad guy does bad thing, cops catch bad guy.
But there's always plot twists.
The reason why that show has been going for 20 plus years is because there's a plot twist. There's always something that gets you going to watch.
Yeah.
And AEW, again, I love that they tell stories in the ring. You got to start to, and I'm going to take a quote from Eric Bischoff. You have to start thinking about the non-casual viewer.
Correct.
You have to. And you have to do that by just telling other stories.
So that you can lock them in, and you can hopefully make them a returning.
Weekly. Exactly. And this is the best way to do it with Ed and Christian.
Yep. Speaking of comments and viewers, and it seemed like the Wrestling Observer newsletter put out a article about Kyle Fletcher and how All In Texas was a very disappointing night for him, because he had flew out his mom and he was scheduled to win the TNT championship from Adam Cole and everything else like that. And the internet went nuts with it. And I will say this about it. I normally kind of stay out of the bullshit and the drama and whatever. I think the comments kind of lacked empathy for somebody who was supposed to drop the championship to you in Texas and couldn't, and his career basically ended that night, that being Adam Cole. And whether or not Fletcher had anything to do with the symptoms that Adam Cole had leading up to that night in Texas, because they had a match before this, is not is not something I'm going to touch on because I don't know that. And I don't even know if Adam will talk about that or Adam Cole or say that that was the case or whatever. I just think it came off as insensitive. I understand that Kyle Fletcher's moment was kind of stalled and he flew out his mom and everything else like that, but shit happens. And you got to understand something that if you're ever going to lead a locker room full of men, change happens and you need to go with the flow and understand and make it that not everything is about you and that there's a bigger picture here. And one man's career that helped feed his family or himself or whatever is now coming to an end. And these comments lacked a lot of empathy and a lot of leadership for me. And Kyle will probably go on to do extremely well and do some great things in the world of professional wrestling like he already has. You know, Randy was young at one point, Randy Orton, and he changed and became a locker room leader and everything else like that. And I just think these comments came off very insensitive. And I hope that Kyle Fletcher learns from it and grows from it because I don't think he's a bad human being. But if you're ever going to lead a locker room full of men and women, you got to remember that this is not all about you and there's a bigger picture. And I think Kyle didn't have that mindset when these comments were made.
So I love Kyle Fletcher. I think he's a great guy, great person. I've watched some interviews with him, especially this last media run he was doing with Sky Blue. I've watched a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is where, like, I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is where, like, I hate this kind of digital world that we're in because I wish we could just kind of hear his tone of voice and whatnot. Because while I understand what he's saying, I will say I think he missed the mark and I think he was disingenuous.
Well, that's a very good point, Jordan. Tone is everything. I've told people, like, you can't tell my tone over text. So don't overanalyze this. Don't read too much into it. This is me being as blunt as I possibly can. I am not being a dick. You know?
No, you're not. You're not. And so with respect, I think for Kyle to say what he said now, it would be one thing if he said it in July. It'd be one thing if he said it in August. Mm-hmm. We're in April. Here it is. We're approaching April. We're about to be in April, and you're talking about it, and you're saying it's the worst. You have your own custom belt now.
Well, and again, Kyle's been given a lot, man.
You've been given so much.
Lot. He has. So I think that you're going to look at.
You've been given so much. You have a custom title. You're pretty much the face of this faction, you know.
And probably one guy that AEW looks at and says, "This is somebody who's going to be our future leader."
Right? They just gave you a nice, pretty big extension. Meanwhile, let's just be honest. I hate to be mean. Meanwhile, the other guy is reviewing video games
because he can't wrestle right now.
Because he can't wrestle. Yeah. I think that's very disingenuous to make these comments in April of 26 about things that happened in July of 25.
Yeah, because maybe you feel safe enough to say them now. I thought it lacks empathy. It was distasteful. And I think if you're going to lead a locker room full of men that are making millions upon millions of dollars and you're going to be eventually their world champion or whatever you aspire to, you got to remember that the business is not all about you.
I think we have to sometimes look back at the things that we're garnered and blessed to have. Like, you know, my one of the things that, you know, my late father taught me is that, you know, hey, I may not have everything in this world, but I'm rich in the things that I need in this life.
Yeah,
right? I'm rich in family. I'm rich in friends. I don't go hungry. I can get to A to B, you know. Am I using 97 gas? No. You know, I may not have no luxury vehicle, you know, but I don't, you know, am I eating steak and shrimp every day? No, but this burger tastes pretty good. You see what I'm saying?
I always give the approach to my kids and sometimes, you know, other people in my family or my life, and I'm like, hey, look around you. I think you're pretty blessed for what you have.
So Kyle, you've got your own custom title. You are the only three-time TNT championship winner. Mm-hmm. I think it was just very distasteful now. If you said that in August, if he said it in August, I can understand it. Hey, you said it in August, you know, I can get it. Even if you said it in December, I can maybe understand it. But
Well,
here it is now. It's like,
yeah.
I don't
And
know why.
again, if the locker room has any sort of underlining issue with you, this will be blown up into a major thing sooner rather than later, in terms of like you'll have the murmurings of, well, I can tell you that the people in the back are pissed off at Kyle or whatever, and this is just their way of being like, hey, dude, grow up. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Fletcher. I don't necessarily think this should be something where it's like completely detrimental to his career, but he needs to be smarter, in my opinion.
I do want to address this really quickly because this is a great
Sure.
point. Addison points out that there's an argument that he should have won that match. Dusty's reign was mostly short and uneventful. And while I do agree with that, it wasn't very eventful. You could have pivoted and still had Kyle win that match. We are deep in the heart of Texas with the Von Erichs showing up. Dustin's got his whole Texas garb. I'm okay with giving him that moment as a person who
they gave him that moment. Yeah, and they gave him that moment very simply for this, Jordan. And I think you're smart enough to understand that. We just had the champion relinquish the title and end his career in a very emotional moment. You don't have a heel beat a guy from Texas right after that moment. You knew Dustin was walking out of there. You needed a feel-good moment. We just had a complete letdown. Everybody was so emotional, and the fans were so sad for Cole. And then you're going to have Fletcher beat a guy from Texas with the Von Erichs? Nah.
Yeah, you can't. You just couldn't. You couldn't do it. So while kayfabe-wise, maybe on paper, Kyle Fletcher should have won.
Sure.
You gotta send the crowd home happy. And for me, as a person who's lived in Texas most of my life, as a person who the very first wrestler I ever saw live in person was Kerry Von Erich. And whatnot. I loved it. It was a great moment for me. I loved it. So I do, just at the end of the day, I think Kyle Fletcher's words were just a little bit out of touch, out of time.
For sure.
Think, but ultimately, I don't think it'll be a mark
for you guys. They're a little out of touch, out of time.
I don't think that'll have a mark on his career. But another thing from last night, or not last night, from Wednesday, it seems like we're getting Kenny Omega and MJF.
I mean, we're getting Kenny and MJF.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it, though. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've always said Kenny's next challenge for the belt, he needs to win.
Interesting. Well, I mean, you never know. Could they go Kenny and Will at Wembley Stadium?
So that's the thing. Do they go with possibly one of the greatest matches, which will probably be one of the greatest matches ever, and Kenny and Will, because they'll give it their all, especially knowing Kenny. Up against Will, they always kill it. They always. But like, I don't know.
I'm with you, Jordan. I think his next opportunity should have been a win and should be a win. I say that in the past tense the first time because I think we're going to ride MJF, the hot hand, all the way up until Wembley Stadium. But I agree with you. But how they do it, how they book this finish between Omega and MJF is going to be one to be seen. Because if MJF beats Kenny clean, then man, I don't know where Kenny goes after that. It'll be very interesting.
I really don't, because like I first off, I loved how they opened the show with the Kenny Swerve match. Personally, I would have made it the main event. I would have had like a little countdown counter, like some of the old wrestling shows used to do. I'm okay with the result of the match. I like how Kenny came back out to kind of essentially throw the gauntlet for MJF. I'm just if MJF's gonna run this gauntlet of beating Brody, beating Hangman, now probably gonna beat Kenny. This will, I wonder if all roads lead to Will Ospreay. And maybe this is my problem as a wrestling fan. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead. But damn, what is Will Ospreay now going to do? Because no, and I only say that because most people, and I want to see how you feel about this, most people who come out of an MJF program come out lesser than. Not many people have come out of a MJF program on the same stature. Brody King has not been seen in 2 weeks. So
it's a good take.
So like, what is this going to do to Kenny Omega?
I guess that's why I said I think the finish of this match is very important. Very important. For numerous reasons. Obviously, who's going to be the world champion? That's a dumb moment, but there's a lot at stake here in terms of what you're talking about. We Brody King, Hangman Page is now done. There's a lot of things that have happened. I mean, Samoa Joe, hopefully he's coming back soon and he can maybe get in the mix here, or because I mean, he really never got his rematch for the world championship. It's very interesting. It's a good take. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens with Kenny Omega, but I think it's a very good take by you, Jordan. People have come out of this with MJF. I mean, after their title match, where are they?
Where are they? What happens? Are they they're not, and so for Kenny, someone who needs to really win his next challenge, because Kenny's in the legacy building part of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I don't know. I say all that to say pretty much that I'm right now, this MJF run, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just not a big fan of it because I thought that maybe we'd get a little bit more with Brody King. No, didn't even get anything else extra from Kevin Knight. That was just all. It just seems like they're kind of just going. It just seems like hey, are you healthy? Okay, come on. It just seems like they're going. With Swerve and Hangman, there was an overarching like story and kind of build there. This, like, I don't know anybody's real motivations. Like, why? Okay, Kenny wants to go after MJF for the title, and that's great. And I love that for competitiveness sake. But like, what's the heel moment for MJF then? Oh, you had diverticulitis, low hanging fruit. Like, I don't. I'm just starting to worry. A little bit about. Like,
I think MJF and the Hangman Page feud. I thought MJF showed a lot more growth in terms of on the mic and where he goes and how he's going to do that, the promos that were delivered and everything else like that. So I think you have reason and justifiably reason to kind of be concerned, because if MJF just goes back and kind of rests on what he's done on those promos, where it's very much like, your family's dead, your mom's an alcoholic, you've had cancer, you have diverticulitis or whatever, and it's going to be like, all right, dude, like, we get it.
We get it. We've done this.
So we'll see. I think, there's more weeks to build for this championship match. We'll see what happens, but I don't think any of the reasons you just listed are insane, and they're not justifiably concerning, because they are. What isn't justifiably concerning, because there's thankfully no AEW pay-per-view that weekend, is we saw that Saturday night's main event will head to New York City, Madison Square Garden in July in the summer. I think it's going to be a massive show. I'm not saying that because it's, New York City or anything else like that. I'm not quite sure there is any sort of PLE scheduled.
I'll tell you why it's going to be massive, because isn't Madison Square Garden one of like the homes of the original show, Saturday Night Main Event?
The first Saturday night's main event took place at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, New York, in Uniondale, and then they had some big matches in Madison Square Garden for Saturday night.
So like, it's going to be huge. They'll probably do another retro day, and I think they should. I loved it when Cody, that visual with the old school belt with Cody. Yeah,
there's no events, Jordan, for the WWE scheduled right now. We still have the stuff going on with the war that we're having here in the United States and in the other countries that it's affecting, where we don't know if I think it's Clash of Champions or the Night of Champions is going to take place in Saudi Arabia. So they don't have anything scheduled from May until August. And from May, it's May 31st and then August 1st. And that's Clash in Italy and then SummerSlam. So that July event, Saturday night's main event in New York City, is kind of like the bridge between SummerSlam.
It's for all intents and purposes, and I think that they should treat it as a PLE.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me a title match, on there. Give me something with some stakes, the same way AEW went 2 months without a pay-per-view and they've made every show feel good and important and special. I think WWE has an opportunity to do that very same thing to a larger scale, even with this Saturday Night Main Event, because people love the Saturday Night Main Event aesthetic. People, they love it because it's WWE on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. It's a novelty. So I think that's huge, honestly, especially considering that there's no other event. I did not think that because I don't know why I thought the Paris show was in July, but I guess it's not. Or not the Paris show, the Italy show.
It's May 31st. I mean,
okay,
yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But again, I think it's going to be a big show. Let's see something real quick. Let's get to some questions, some comments, and we'll head on down the road. Gil Ospreay versus Face Kenny, and those dastardly Brits cheer the bad guy. Maybe. I don't know if I want to see Will as a heel right now, but I don't even like Will as a tweener. I just don't think it works. But we'll see. What about you? What say you?
Nah. He works as a heel. He has no reason to turn heel right now.
Right. I mean, he's going after quote unquote the de facto group that's a heel, but they took him out. So
my biggest question I need answered is in AEW is why Darby Allin cares about the title all of a sudden.
All right.
He's always cared about the title. He's always cared about the title. He's had some distractions getting him there. You got to remember that he had the story of Darby Allin. Okay, he had the title opportunity, and then he got a little overzealous, put it on the line against Jon Moxley. John beat him. He said, okay, you know what? I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to get better. I'm going to climb this mountain just to prove that I have an unkillable will. Climbs the mountain, comes back, destroys the Death Riders. I show you my unkillable will. In the middle of fighting the Death Riders, you got to remember that Gabe Kidd was never a Death Rider. He was always contracted through. So now Gabe Kidd starts to have his own issues with Darby Allin. So therefore, boom, had to do a side story with Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd and the Dogs. Now that story is over for Darby Allin. Okay, I'm finally back focused on the world title.
Well, and the other thing too is that the big hot rumor was that Darby was going to go over at All in Texas for the World Championship and didn't because he decided to climb Mount Everest instead. So whether or not I believe that to be true or not, I do believe that Darby was going to win the World Championship eventually, and I think him wanting to do something personally and achieve that, climbing Mount Everest, knocked him down in the World Championship title picture. So,
nah. Is Evolution 3 going to be the P? We're not going to get an Evolution. You're not.
I don't know, maybe. That's a good question, Joshua. What's up, Kenny? I mean, I don't want to comment on Evolution because I was right last year, but this year I'm more uncertain than I've ever been with another
super uncertain. I don't think we're getting it.
Kenny wins at Dynasty, has the rubber match, serve it double, and lose the belt to Will at all. Maybe. Not a bad prediction.
Yeah, it's not, but then I think people, because when it comes to NJF's title reigns, it's always either it's too long or it's too short. Like no one seems to be happy to just let MJF lose.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem because MJF he's politicked his way, I'll just say, into the top of the card always. Like always.
Yeah.
Like you could see, like Kenny has won other titles. You could see Hangman has won other titles. I could see Swerve one of these days deciding to say, you know what? I want to get that international title. MJF has never even sniffed anything outside of that world title. So it's hard to book him when he has it, and then it's even harder to book him when he doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you, Jordan. All right, that's going to be it for us. We want to thank all you boys and girls for joining us. Short notice, impromptu. We appreciate it. We wanted to do it yesterday. There was just travel stuff, and kids being home and vacation and all that other stuff. So I appreciate you guys and girls bearing with us. We miss you, Juice. Thank you, Jordan, for all your contributions. This was a very fun show.
Love it.
Where can everyone like, subscribe, and follow you?
You can find me at slick_flair91, as well as following the Wrestle Collective. Check out, we had a great episode yesterday talking about, is any wrestling even good right now? It's a really, really good episode. Got into some good arguments. And so you can find that at Dub-C Worldwide on Twitter, or the Wrestle Collective. Type in the Wrestle Collective here on YouTube and check us out.
There you go. Make sure you guys and girls check out the collective. Make sure you guys and girls like, subscribe, and follow Final Bell Media so that when we go live, you will know and you'll get your proper notifications. I do want to give a big shout out to Psycho Sid Vicious, his family. He is going into the WWE Hall of Fame along with Bad News Brown. I was a kid. I wasn't really a kid, but I was young in 1996, 95, 96, 97. And I will tell you that Sid's ovation at the Garden was just something my mind could not process when he came out to verse Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship, or the WWF Championship, I should say, at that time. I looked at, my dad and my friend, and I said, why are they cheering him? And my dad, who doesn't even follow wrestling, was like, I have no idea. And I just didn't get it. And, everybody was, I was a Heartbreak Kid fan, but after that night, I was like, all right, Sid's for real. Kind of made you stop and think about it. So congratulations to those two gentlemen. Make sure that you guys follow me. I am at Andrew Baydala. Make sure you follow Jordan. Jordan, where can they follow you? It's
Slick_Flair91.
All right. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. We will be back next week at our normally scheduled time. We appreciate all the love and support. Thank you to see Josh. He was here. Trust Vex, Advocate, Tay, Blake, Graps, everybody. Really appreciate it. Somebody said, go enjoy there it is. Go enjoy your lobster, your steak and lobster, Slick.
Well, first off, I'm allergic to shellfish, so it'll be just steak. And I like my steak medium rare, more on the rare side.
Hey, that boy. Me and you can.
I need to move. I need blood dripping out.
See, smart man. Me and you can have some steaks down in Vegas. We'll find some place to go.
We're definitely going to. Definitely going to. Some steak and ranch water.
When you said, again, that you're gonna get another attaboy out of me. Like you know. All right. Yeah. I'm Andrew Baydala. That's Jordan Carter. We thank you very much for joining us. We catch you guys and girls next week for No Dirt, Just Dialogue.